Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our panel discussion on implementing the digital transition. We have a great panel to bring us the newest insights from Poland, Germany, and Brussels. My name is Martin Pioch, and I work for ZVEI, the electrical industry in Germany, and I'm representing ZVEI in Brussels in our European office. Already for a couple of years, we at ZVEI cooperate with our Polish partner associations and regularly host international panels here at this economic forum. Poland has become an important partner for the German electronic industry, especially for us in the last years. After China, the US, and France, Poland is now the fourth biggest trading partner of our industry sector, is deeply embedded in our value chains, and actually in 2020, next to China, Poland has been one of the few growth markets during the pandemic, with 5% growth in the last year. But let me come to our panel. The digital transition is key for our industry so that we can benefit from the opportunities to create a more modern, greener, more efficient economy across Europe. Digital is a precondition for new business models in many sectors, and therefore a fully functioning industrial data economy across Europe is necessary to enable new technologies as industrial AI, IoT, or, for example, predictive maintenance. Our panel will discuss the best way for Europe's industry to implement new digital solutions in the industrial sector. We will also assess what needs to be done to enable companies to make better use of technologies and what kind of governance maybe is needed to do this. We will start with a keynote presentation of one of our newest projects in Germany, the IDTA, the Industrial Digital Twin Association. And therefore, after that, we go to the panel. The IDTA will be now by a keynote presented by Dr. Horst Heinol-Heikkinen, the CEO of Asentics, and this is the Deputy Chairman of the Industrial Digital Twin Association. Before we start with the keynote, I would also welcome the other participants of our panel today. We have with us Mr. Jacek Łukaszewski. He's president of Schneider Electric in Poland. We have with us Mr. Jürgen Sturm. He's chairman of AIOTI, the Alliance for the Internet of Things Innovation. And last but not least, we have with us Mr. Konarski, vice president of PIIT, the Polish Chamber of Technology and Telecommunications. And therefore, I will give now the floor to Mr. Heinol to present us his thoughts of the IDTA. Thank you very much.
So, thank you very much for introducing me, and also that you give me the opportunity to present our new association called IDTA, Industrial Digital Twin Association. So we start, and I will give you a first slide that shows the management of our new founded IDTA. Just to tell you that we have founded the IDTA very shortly in the last year, founded on September 23rd. And we have had our going live with the new association a few days ago. It was on 1st March this year. So what you can see on that slide is our management on the left side. We have Mr. Mike Billman and Mr. Dr. Christian Mosch. They are engaged to manage our new association, and you can see on the right side our board of directors. This is first of all our chairman from Schneider Electric. This is Dr. Matthias Bölke. And on the right side, you can see Carsten Schneider. So he is a boss of our financial issues. So he's a member of the board and comes from the company Siemens. In the middle, you can see a picture of me. So as already told, I'm the vice president or vice chairman of the IDTA, and I'm a founder and owner of the Asentics company in the area of vision technology. Just to give you a very quick and very short idea, because we are so fairly new, what is the IDTA and what does it really stands for? So the IDTA, as the name already says, is somebody dealing and acting with the digital twin. And what we aim, or what we would like to do in the future, and what is so-called our mission statement. We would like to be a central point of contact of all those things happen already since here in that area of industrial digitalization. And we would like to focus also all topics related with the digital twin. That doesn't mean that we have only one technology, but we would like to have a nice overview within our association of all those technologies happened in the meanwhile, and should be developed for the future. So this means we have to have a strong alliance of course, of creators, creating these digital twin for the future, but also we do need members. They come from a totally different point of view. That means these are the users, because as you know, creating a technology thing like a digital twin, what is very complicated, does need also the point of view of those companies. They at the end are the end user of our digital twins. So we do need an alliance, of course, because all those things is a lot of work, and we cannot do everything within our IDTA. So we stand for a strong alliance of companies, of associations. They have had their work on this area already in the past, and we would like to invite them to work together with us. Okay, to make a long story short, we would like to start to shape, of course, the future of those digital twins and the so-called asset administration shell. What that means, I will show you. Sorry, that was the wrong direction. I will show you on the next slides. But before I go in more detail, I would like to inform you who is already member of our association. And what you can see on the left side, we have two associations. This is the ZVEI and the VDMA, both very strong European associations based in Frankfurt, Germany. And they have the founding initiative last year, or they made the founding initiative, and they invited us, means 21 companies, you can see that on the right side, to discuss together what should be the content and how should an association like the IDTA look like, and how should it perform in the future. So as you can see the list, it's like the who is who in not only in the European, also in the national context. We have very big companies here, and these are together 21 founding companies, and they were very eager, I can tell you, because I was there from the first minute, very eager to be also a founding member, because it means something for those companies. So it speaks for itself. So what you can see on the left bottom side is the Industry 4.0. This is a German initiative. And you maybe heard something in the past about this Industry 4.0. They have worked very much already on this digital twin and also at this asset administration shell, and they will support us very much, and they stand behind all those things. So you can see we bring already some things together. So, but what is a digital twin? So I will start from, of course, the beginning to make it a little bit clear. The definition of a digital twin is that it is not real, it's a digital representation. So we have at the end to model everything. So we have to have tools in the model area. On the one side, what you can see here, this is for example, a robot. We like to take this example of a robot because it's very clear what it is. It's very emotional. It's good to transport, but it's only one example. It could be a robot. It could be something easier. It's simple, an asset, and the definition of an asset is not really clear. Is that what the user defines or the maker defines as an asset? In this example, it's a robot, and we have to have information models defining the robot in a digital representation. So this is very domain specific work, what should be done, and will also be done in the within the VDMA and also in the ZVEI. In the past, we have already some information models, but what we don't have, we don't bring really the things together. And this is what we would like to do, bringing all those models, these structures together in this area, in this asset area. But also we have to perform something new. It's the so-called asset administration shell. It surrounds all those digital representation, what is domain specific, and this should be something bring the asset on a platform. So we have to have also something, a generic thing, bringing all those assets on a platform. This is what I have described here. But how does these digital twin or this asset administration shell really behave? What is in? You can see that here. So the asset administration shell is something what accompanies an asset the entire life cycle. That means it starts with the planning and development and it ends at the end of the life cycle of an asset with the recycling. So this is what we hope to do in the future. And you can see from that is a really, let me say, tedious work to do that. So many people, many designers, many information models and so on have to be realized in this case. And we have to realize also the so-called asset administration shell, a generic shell surrounding the asset. What you can see in the top of that picture is also that we make or that we discuss with other people. You can see that on here. There we took this Gaia X thing. Maybe you have heard from that. It's a European development strategy to create not only a platform but also an environment. That means in industrial Ethernet as a platform that should be new created, especially for industrial things, because we cannot simply use today's internet, because we have to make sure that also the industrial communication is safe, so-called. Okay, what I told you is that the administration shell maps the entire life cycle of an asset. So on my next slides, I would tell a little bit about on a high level, what is the potential and what is maybe the benefit of that. If you look on the left side, maybe you know that in the past we have to have or we have to spend many work. That means about or around 80% of our work to present data, to format data, to bring data in structure, to make mappings. So that means to bring really the real assets in an industrial context. So many efforts we have to do, and this takes roughly, the main part means 80%. So the real added value about data, if you talk about real added value, there is only space for 20%. This has to do with how we did it in the past. So the potential for the future is to change that totally, because we would like to have 80% creating on data value, because we would like to perform with new business models. So we have to have new, not only business models, but also new structure to do so. And the potential of the asset administration shell and the digital twin is exactly that, to make it vice versa, to have only 20% of work for the data integration. So slow it down, this so-called tedious work, and spend more time and have more time with the real added value issues. Okay, on this slide, I would like to tell you who is the one who is having benefit from that, what we are doing. So I bring that a little bit in a raw. That doesn't mean that all those, what you can see here, asset and digital twins have to be in a hierarchy. As you maybe know from the past, we have these standard thing. This is these hierarchy levels where we have the smaller assets. That means the sensors, the motors on the field level, and then we have these higher level things. So in this typical automation pyramid, I don't have this picture here, but you know that, and it doesn't mean that we have also here a hierarchy. It's just to tell you that all those assets in different areas will have a so-called asset administration shell. As I told you in the beginning, it doesn't matter so much what is the real content, who is defining the content. Is the maker, or maybe also is the user who is defining what is an asset. Just put an asset administration shell, and then you have defined this is an asset. So you can make use, you can see that on this slide, you can make use of assets. They are designed, performed already or from device manufacturers. So you can make use of this work they have done. And so you can come up to the plant manufacturing level. So this is only showing the integration, how the integration works, or the integration level. It's not a hierarchy. So to make it a little bit more clear, you can see in the middle of that, or on the left side, in the middle of those rings, the added value, the synergy for all those makers or users. So all of them have to share their asset administration shell, a part of a digital twin or a whole digital twin, whatever, and they share the same resources. So not only the device manufacturer saves time and money, not only the machine builder, but they have also an area where they together have synergy effects. So this is not to underestimate. Okay, and coming maybe to an end, to bring all the things together and to show again what our targets are. We would like to be, first of all, a global community. Of course, not a German, of course, not a European, but a global community. The digital twin is not an European thing only, it's an international thing. So we have to invite all the international companies, associations, and the players playing on that playground. We have to have an open access. I didn't tell you something about that because it's a story on its own. But we have to have an open access also to the development. We have to develop in an open manner these catalog or these information models. And also, of course, we focus on that, this added value. This is something we have in mind during our work, of course. At the end, there is the market, and market access not only for our machines, how they are today, but for the machines, how they will be today. We know that we all are able to build perfect machines. We have showed that in the past 50 years. But time is going on, and now we have to show how to work with machines on a digital platform. This is what we have in front of us. And I'm very sure that all of you can see also new business models in there. And this is our goal. This is the point number 5. This is the major point. What we would like to have, open the market for these new things. So companies are invited to get an idea and to work with us on this industrial digital twin, on this asset administration shell. So I think I have to make my my speech a little bit, or come to an end. This command is something you can find also on our homepage. I will not repeat that here. So this is how I see our future, and this is how I see the work of the IDTA. And you can see many other things there on our homepage. Please visit that and get an idea, and maybe come in contact to us. Come in contact to us leads me to my last slice. Again, to Mike Billman and Christian Mosch. They are open. They are there for you. Please ask them, and I hope I could give you an insight, and of course, first small insight, and I could invite you to work with us on our future. So thank you very much for your open ears.
Mr. Heinol, thank you so much for the great presentation. And now I'm happy that we move to the whole panel to discuss new opportunities of the digital transition and implementing it actually in Europe. And therefore, I would like to start with you, Mr. Łukaszewski. Your company has a strong focus on sustainability projects. And I know from your colleagues in Brussels that Green Deal offers many opportunities, for example, in smart asset management on the energy efficiency of buildings. However, digital often is a precondition to enable those new business models. Can you tell us a little how Schneider Electric is managing the digital transition, and maybe give an example?
Yes, indeed, I would be very happy to do so. So most of the leading institutions around the world, both public and private, business and non-profit, are embarking at dual goals in digitization and decarbonization or sustainability. Yeah. Although they primarily operate in parallel, the two strategies could integrate and become mutually beneficial because they strive for similar goals and making use of the similar technologies. And I will prove that. But let me start with the definitions. So what is digitization? Digitization is the process of using data to bring transparency and intelligence to all operations. Yeah? Real-time and historical data together reveal patterns that can improve decision-making, efficiency, and competitiveness. Specifically, this could result from using data to lower production waste, prevent downtime, increase yield, or enable new resource streams. On the other hand, sustainability aims at managing or minimizing the impact of operations on the environment and society. So today, decarbonization is the major theme within the corporate sustainability, along with improving worker safety and promoting circular economy. So both digitization and sustainability are initiatives that aim at efficiency. Yeah, efficiency of output of production is the goal of digitization. Efficiency of input, efficient use of resources or use and reuse of resources is the goal of sustainability. So many initiatives that support one could also support the other. Yeah. How digitization can benefit business sustainability? Well, it can contribute to several axes of sustainability agenda. For example, in industry, digital transformation can yield considerable benefits in resource optimization, waste reduction, and safety enhancements. For instance, sensors and software technologies that lower production costs, they do so from optimizing energy and minimizing the scrap. Furthermore, the data transparency resulting from digitization can help companies better track their impact and identify the best climate mitigation opportunities across the value chain. Unfortunately, until now, sustainability has not been the main driver for digitization. Yeah, the most companies that embark on digitization, they do so because of operational efficiency or operational transparency, cost reduction, safety enhancement, and yield optimization. But we at Schneider Electric believe that will soon change, or is actually changing. You know, the COVID-19 has put another perspective on fundamentals, and I think we all believe that the climate change is the greatest challenge for our generation, and we have to address it in the next 10 years or so. Yeah. So the business model of Schneider Electric is to become actually a partner for our customers on their journey towards the sustainability. And then, as they say, as we have to eat our own bread, we start with a very ambitious targets for ourselves. As Schneider Electric, we have a very ambitious corporate goal for carbon neutrality. We committed to be a net zero operational emissions by 2030, and we committed to be a net zero supply chain, which includes everyone that is either supplying or purchasing from us by 2050. Yeah. And that has been awarded recently at, we've been awarded a number one of the 100 most sustainable companies on the opening event during the Davos Forum. So for the first time, we have been really appreciated in that field. But then coming back to what we do, so we support our partners, but also our customers on their journey to sustainability, or on their individual goals, and we use it with our products and digital platforms that we call advisors. So we became a global digitization / decarbonization partner for many companies. To name a few: Faurecia, Velux, Whirlpool, Saint-Gobain. We are also very active in that aspect in Poland, and we see that digitization and sustainability, they go together, and very often sustainability is another driver helping to drive digitization, and that's what we are good at, and that's what we work with our customers with.
Great, thank you. Very interesting. There's this aspect also mutual beneficial output when we put digital and sustainability together, and what we need for that is, of course, is innovation and new technologies, and we are discussing here how we implement them best. But seeing also innovation at the back of your screen or behind you leads me a little bit to our next speaker, Mr. Sturm. You're the chairman of AIOTI, it's the Alliance for the Internet of Things Innovation. Maybe you can shortly tell us what that is, but also I know that the AIOTI is very active also in the work with the Commission in Brussels together on Europe's digital innovation hubs. And maybe you can also tell us a little bit here how we can improve, bringing innovation and bringing these new digital technologies to smaller companies all over Europe, so that we actually can implement it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Martin. On these two topics, maybe a couple of words on AIOTI in the first place. The network as such was kicked off 2015 based on an idea by the European Commission DG Connect, who thought it was important at that time to build up a very comprehensive IoT-related ecosystem all over Europe. And that call basically was joined by around 400 stakeholders, larger companies, smaller companies, research houses, regional representations. And at the time, the focus was on preparing for large-scale pilot projects, which were then called for. We very early recognized, however, that this network as such is an asset per se in the organization of the IoT community and the IoT landscape in Europe. That's why we transferred it into a non-profit organization, a legal personality 1 year later then. Not everybody joined this exercise, but we have a stable membership of around 170, 180 companies. And what I like very much still is the variety what AIOTI has. Really SMEs, larger companies, universities, research entities bringing together. And this is basically the mission of AIOTI, is to break silos. Because we still see, I think we have improved already, but we still see as a European community that a lot is happening in silos, in smaller networks, in verticals, and to break the silos and integrate these verticals via horizontal activities, that's very important. And we are still trying to accelerate that. AIOTI has recently joined also the large partnership on smart networks and services under the Horizon Europe program. One of the joint undertakings to enhance 5G and work towards 6G leadership in Europe. So I'm very excited about that. This is a big milestone. That this is embedded in the Horizon Europe program as such, and so I'm very excited for the next 5 years. But I think more important of my intervention, I don't want to steal too much time on that, is really the digital innovation hubs, because this is a crucial element in infrastructure about really transforming, really enhancing, really accelerating what we call the digital transformation for Europe, because these digital innovation hubs, they are cross-regional. They are all over. They're all over Europe. They have a role to play. The concept as such is not new. I mean, you remember it was part of the European industry strategy 3, 5, 4 years ago already, where the concept of digital innovation hubs was for the first time made public. I think now we are in a situation where these networks, they get a new impetus via the Digital Europe program. And there are four pillars what we very much like to see be present in the regions, because digital transformation is not something which falls out of Brussels. It has to be done and has to be implemented in the regions. So building innovation ecosystems on a regional scale, provide skills and training facilities on a regional scale, support the access to finance, to investment on a regional scale, maybe do some test runs before investment on a regional scale. This is where the big added value of the digital innovation hubs lies. So from AIOTI side, we made an inventory recently, and we found that from IoT specific issues, around 207 digital innovation hubs are operational in Europe. A similar exercise was carried out by our colleagues in the 5G Industry Alliance, who came to 325 digital innovation hubs dedicated, acting and being active in the field of 5G. And so naturally, we put this exercise together. That's why AIOTI and the 5G Alliance has now set up what we call the Smart Connectivity Digital Innovation Hub Networks. That's a little bit of an awkward name, but it says basically everything. It's about smart connectivity, bringing together 5G, 6G, IoT activities and cybersecurity into one nucleus, and regionalize it and make this a part of the regional added value. We have reason to assume that in 2021 this activity may be funded by the European Commission in the Digital Europe program. So hopefully, let's keep the fingers crossed, because this would be a big milestone forward if we could really initialize this activity, make it as an integral part of the research strategy of the Commission. I think that would be very interesting and a very interesting way forward. And there's one thing I would like to share with you, because that I find, especially in the context of this panel, very striking. The major vertical, what we found out when we did this inquiry towards the digital innovation hubs, the major vertical which provides most added value is manufacturing. Most of the DHs with whom we are in contact and with whom we are engaging have a focus on manufacturing next to other verticals, but manufacturing is very high on the agenda, and I think that's where I could imagine we could have a very interesting link in a collaboration when I take a look at the keynote we have just heard from the Digital Twins Association. So I think there we could really go forward in a joint exercise. But to cut a long story short, digital innovation hubs, that's a key asset for digitization in Europe, because they are regional and it happens on the regional basis.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very interesting. Also to make the link here, and also on the point, how do we do the implementation of digital? How we come to it, and also implementing through innovation hubs in the regions, getting the regions, also understanding where are the pain points for the regions or for the different countries. And that brings me to you, Mr. Konarski, as Vice President of PIIT or PIIT. You know very well what are the biggest challenges, but also the success stories of making Polish industry digital. So therefore, I would ask you, maybe you can tell us what can be done better in Poland, or what's already going very well in Poland, and where also there's place for cooperation also, for example, innovation hubs or in cooperation with other members or countries' industry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. This exotic abbreviation PIIT means Polish IT and Telecommunication Chamber of Commerce, which is the eldest one in Poland, existing already for 30 years. Thank you very much once more for invitation. Supplementing what Mr. Łukaszewski told us also about Schneider Electric activity and plans in Poland, I will share with you our experiences, but not only as a chamber, but as a maybe not from the members' point of view. Our members are vendors of many disruptive technologies, solutions, etc. So we are very optimistic, of course. But I will try to share with you our opinions, our experiences, and how the digital transformation processes are being implemented in Poland, and what is the current situation, and what would speed up the process. So Poland is, in terms of digital transformation, is a paradox country, because probably Poland is the most dynamic economy still in the European Union, on the one hand, but on the other hand, Poland is for sure not a digital leader. We are not in at the end in terms of per capita spending of on digital transformation, but for sure there are even Eastern European countries which are much more developed in this regard. Czechia is a good example. I mean, per capita spending in Czechia on digital transformation, on implementation, or deployment of digital transformation solutions is for sure higher. Even in Hungary, it used to be a couple of years ago. So what is an explanation for that paradox? That on the one hand, we have the most dynamic economy, and on the other hand, we are not a digital leader. We are not at the bottom, I mean, but we are not the leader. First of all, there are many studies and surveys on that, and I would like just to name 2 or 3 reasons that all of them indicate. First of all, Poland is still a country and economy which is dominated by small and medium-sized companies. A lot of them still being family businesses. So for such companies, initiating digital transformation processes is still a big challenge. Then, which is the second factor, I think, which is very important, is that most of those companies doing very well since 1989, collapse of communism, they have based its competitive advantage on a low labor cost. In ICT sector in Poland, it's not anymore, I mean, the situation, but we have frankly states that was the biggest probably competitive advantage, maybe also the level of education of young people in Poland, but the low wages in comparison with the European was something which was our economy competitive advantage. And that's why many small and medium-sized companies so far haven't have not been so determined to initiate the process, but it stopped. And I think that COVID, among others, was a big catalyst, to start thinking about initiating such projects. What is also specific for the Polish market is that we have a lot, even in comparisons with Germany or France, a lot of very big implementation, deployment of cloud services of AIOTI even, and etc. So let's say state-of-the-art, technologies. But we are below the European average as to implementation of basic digital function. So if you study, for instance, Eurostat, statistics about the use of enterprise resource planning system in Poland, or customers, client relationship management system, you could notice that in Poland, Poland is below the European Union average. So my point is that digital transformation in Poland should start, with acceleration, first of all, of this very basic digital function, starting with digital marketing, e-commerce. Of course, that simultaneously we should also implement the state-of-the-art, innovations, first of all, cloud and etc. It is happening. But I would like to underline, the specificity of the Polish market. And then on top of that, we have the legislative and regulatory matters. I'm a lawyer being responsible within the board of PIIT for those matters. So I'm quite negative as to in terms of legislation. That Poland is systematically, unfortunately, behind the schedule as to implementation of European Union law. And what is a nightmare for Polish entrepreneurs is constant changes in law. I think that maybe Mr. Łukaszewski can comment on that or confirm that we even had a situation when amendments have been passed to laws that have not yet taken effect. Yes, so this is not helpful. But on the other hand, I'm in contact with colleagues from all over from all member states. Poland could be treated as for let's say regulatory matters as a kind of a safe harbor, like island for also foreign investors. If you look at our electronic communication office, our DPA, Data Protection Authority, or Financial Supervisory Authority, practice approach, maybe, you could see that in comparison with the French, German, Italian, Spanish one, they are quite amiable. You don't have high fines being imposed upon ICT companies in Poland. Their approach is maybe not to be a partner, but for sure they are not shooting at the industry. And I know that a lot of foreign companies that do business in all member states have already noticed that in this regard, the environment. I'm talking about those three most important for digital transformation offices. This is not. This is quite amiable. This is an advantage of being in charge of digital transformation processes in Poland. That all of a sudden your project is not being stopped by Data Protection Authority, or you can consult your project with Financial Supervisory Authority, being a bank, for instance, insurance company. So this is something that should be underlined. I'm not going only to say something negative, about the situation in Poland. So summing up, I think, and answering your question as to what can speed up the digital transition of industry in Poland, I think that first of all, acceleration of deployment of basic digital functions. Secondly, acceleration of implementation of European Union law, because this is something which is sometimes a barrier, as to the timeline of the project, because companies has to wait. For instance, blockchain can be an example. They have to wait, for a new law, for instance, European Union directive being implemented in the Polish order. to know what is legal background. I mean, for the project. So
yeah, thank you very much.
That's my brief comments on the situation in Poland.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have also, looking a little bit at the time, we have 2 speed rounds afterwards. But first of all, I still need to ask Mr. Heinol. Thank you again for your keynote and presenting us the IDTA, but also as a businessman and CEO of Asentics, maybe you can give us very short 1-2 insights in where your company still has some struggles in implementing digital and what is already going pretty good. And after that, we have two small speed rounds, and then Mr. Heinol.
Yeah. Thank you very much for again giving me the word. It was very interesting to hear what all the other panelists have to say, and I would like to crib now in this box and take something out, especially what Mr. Konarski said. A very nice sentence, I like it. We have to start very basically. This is what you said. This is what you are doing also, and I think this is absolute correctly. We can talk the whole day, the walls up and down about complicated things, about digitalization, but we have to start. This is something in my experience. I give you what does it mean? What does it mean for me? I give you a short insight what I did in the past 5 or 6 years within the VDMA. I showed it a little bit on one of those slices that we did already some work in the context of information modeling. By the way, we are all the time talking about data, but at the end, what we like to have and what we have to handle is information. Data are only the basis. So the new word is information. So what does it mean? We have created so-called information models, and we have had, and they are finalized already. You can see them. You can have this as so-called companion specifications. So we did a lot of work, and we asked ourselves before we starting, what is the goal? What would we like to achieve with that? And around all those complicated things, we figured out one main thing we should solve in a short time. Maybe you don't know so much about vision technology. It's coming more and more, and you know maybe a little bit, but it's a very complicated thing. That means it's acting in the field level of this automation pyramid. So very, very down at the level of a light barrier. But this machine vision thing is very complicated, and it's hard to start. Where to start? What I say always is this machine vision is very talkative. So there is a lot to say. So this machine vision thing has a lot of data, a lot of information, and how to bring them up in the level. So, and now I come to that point. We started very, very, very on the bottom, because we figured out the tedious thing we have to do day by day, week by week, since 25 years in my experience, is how to bring this machine vision thing, this camera, how to bring that in the industrial context, how to bring it in the field. And usually it takes you days to do that with your customer. So how to make it simpler? So about all those digitalization, we shrink all these things down and we focus one maybe simple topic, and we solve that. And this is also what we would like to do in the IDTA. This is the reason I'm involved with that, because I'm a man with hands-on machine. I like to do the things, and we have to start with the simple things. Of course, you have to, first of all, you have to have an overview. What is a simple thing? It took us, I think it took us lately 2 or 3 months to figure out what is the most important topic? What is the first simple thing? What is the low-hanging fruit to realize? But this is, for me, very, very important if we talk about all those big things in the digitalization area. So this is one experience, and I would like to share that with you and to give you this idea that now is the time to do something, to make maybe these open source developments, not talking about the things, starting that up. So this is for me very important. And as maybe a short second thing is, as I told you, now we have these companion specifications, this domain specific thing to bring with information models, machine vision into the factory. So, but this is very good, and it works, and the interest is very high. But if you ask me how many of my customers are really using that, this is a different story. It's really perfect, and you can also implement that in a quite short way, I would like to say, and it helps you to bring machine vision maybe in minutes into the industrial context. Really, it's like that, because it's easy to handle this information model. And but there is something missing. It is one information model is very, very restricted, of course, to our domain. It's very machine vision like. But we have to do the next step now, and we have really to do it, and not to talk about it. This is what I would like to say here, and now I make a point also here.
No, very good. And we will have also the opportunity to react on what was said. But I want to do one thing very quick. I would like from each of you, just in one word or one sentence, hear what you think is the biggest challenge at the moment on implementing digital. And one word or one sentence, very quick, up with you, Mr. Łukaszewski.
Well, I think the biggest challenge is awareness. I think all the leaders, whether you are working in business or public institution, whether you're part of the government or legislation or municipality, you have to realize that we are facing two critical disruptions or mega trends, if we call it, digital and sustainability, and they're unavoidable, and they will touch all of us, whether we like it or not. So we better do something about that now.
Okay, great. You still have the opportunity to follow up on this, but to very clear awareness, we have one, Mr. Sturm.
Yeah, I would say it's trust in technology. I think we have to have secure, cyber-secure applications along all the verticals. Only then we create the acceptance, and only then we can realize the business opportunities which may be out there. Trust.
Mr. Konarski.
For me, if you are talking about the digital transition of the whole country, I think that's very important mentality. We know that digital transformation is not a technology, it's something more. So cooperation of companies like leaders like Schneider Electric. Just to give you an example, Poland has one of the most developed in the world mobile payment system, PIIT, that allows smartphone users to make payments offline and online in offline and online stores. This is one of the most developed systems in the world, and it was only possible to create the system because of the cooperation of the banks. I mean, without any public authorities, involvement. So it is impossible, I think, to make a digital transition of Poland without the cooperation of companies as to standardization, in terms of standardization, etc., etc. So I think that will be crucial, to make it possible.
Great. So we have awareness, trust, the mentality for cooperation. Mr. Heinol, you already said what we need, but maybe what is your biggest challenge?
It's interoperability.
I need to put money.
But there are two sides of interoperability. This is the technical thing. This is what we are working with. That is this make a digital twin or thing, an asset interoperable. But there's a second thing. Make us human beings working together interoperable. That means how can we come to the same view, because we are creating maybe the biggest interface you can imagine with that what is in front of us. Because so we, the people, the acting people, has also to be interoperable. Not
great. Yeah, great, very interesting. And now I think we have time for one closing round. So everybody of you has the opportunity to make one last statement, but also to maybe interact to something what you have heard and what you find interesting, and maybe can connect afterwards. But besides whatever you would like to choose to say, I would also ask you to look a little bit ahead. So Mr. Heinol already said, we just have to do it and start, but also in your point of view, looking a little bit ahead, how also maybe policymakers can assist industry in doing that and give a little bit an out view. And we again start with you, Mr. Łukaszewski.
Well, I think the European Green Deal and also the recovery funds that are aimed at both digital transformation and green transformation of European industries are a move in the very good direction. And what I could say, I could only appeal to the Polish government, but also to the municipalities, to take as much advantage of that direction as possible. When you have this big transition, there's a few obstacles, and Mr. Konarski said that Poland is very often in a paradox, because we have the areas of excellence and areas where things are completely behind. And that comes from, in order to change, you have to have a couple of things. One is willingness. Yeah, you need to be aware and willing to change. Yeah, you have to have a need, and this is what we often see in, let's say, mature economies, that people are conservative because they don't have a need. Yeah, things have been working well, so why to change? The second thing that you have to have is the financial means. You have to have the money. Even if you have a need and you cannot afford it, then it gets difficult. Yeah. So now the EU funding is providing the money, and for a country like Poland, that the second one was very often a barrier to move faster. Yeah. So now the money is out there. You just need to go and grab it and spend it along with in making the economy more green and more digital. The third one is the overall environment, and this is what was mentioned also by the other panelists, that you have to have a supporting environment. So you're not. It's much easier to be moving along with the crowd than to be a game changer. Yeah, but I think this is what we see all over, with the legislation going the right direction, and with I would say more and more pressure coming from the stakeholders, both when it comes to digitization and necessity to providing or to conducting business in a new way, but also when it comes to sustainability.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Jürgen Sturm, you have just heard the Green Deal and also the spending and the recovery. I think 37% should go into green, but 20% should go into digital. At least that's what the Commission is speaking about. Where do you see the next steps forward on implementing?
I think we really have to work to build up the notion, what is the added value of digitization? And digitization for the sake of digitization doesn't lead us anywhere. That's why I think we should, as you mentioned it, Martin, we should bring these two percentages together. I think we would fail if we said, well, 20% goes into digital and 30% go to the Green Deal. It only works if it goes together. Only then we can really leverage really leverage the opportunity to use digital technology in order to gain something in terms of sustainability, in terms of innovation, in terms of improving societal needs and addressing societal needs. I think that for me is one of the most important things, that we understand digitization as being an enabler and not a value per se. And one thing I would like to point out, and I was very thrilled by Mr. Heinol's reference to interoperable people. That's an interesting one, and I would like to go one step further and say we need to be interoperable on a global scale, on a global basis, because I see a certain development, a certain notion to go back into our own continents and see the rest of the world as a threat to us, and they're all mean powers out there. No, we need to come from self-esteem, from a European self-esteem. We can build on our strengths, and I think we don't have to be afraid of the future. We can generate it, we can shape it, but only if we collaborate trustfully, not naively, but trustfully on a global scale. I think that would be my second contribution to it.
Great, thank you. Mr. Konarski, you already spoke before also about the speeding up implementation.
I have 2 points of my wish list. When it comes to European Union, implementing the 5G technology as soon as possible. That's my Chamber of Commerce, at least, perspective. And when it comes to Poland, better use of European Union funds on digital transformation processes. We are just entering the third financial perspective, European Union perspective. We've already built up highways in Poland during using the first money from the first financial perspective. We have developed our broadband network using the second financial perspective money. So now I think it's time, on a smart way of using these European funds as to the digital transition of our country. So I hope that we will make it.
That's a clear task, and hopefully good understood by the audience. I'm pretty sure the Commission, but also the government is watching also this panel. Mr. Heinol, the last word to you.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, you said we just have to do it. Maybe you have also a wish to policymakers how to assist you.
Yes, everything is already said. And Mr. Sturm, it feels a little bit that you have stolen my last word. No,
interoperability.
Perfect. I like that we share. I like very much that we share this idea, and it's also one of my experiences during the work with the VDMA. We have a very nice group there, an international group working together also, and I would like to tell you that. Also the Chinese, not only the Japanese, not only the Americans, not only the Europeans, also we invited the Chinese people to work with us in this group, and it was perfectly working together there. But then we would like to have a standard, and now the same thing comes, interoperability. So, and now we figured out that's not so easy, because if you would like to have a standard with all those people and an international standard. So this is beside the nice working together, then some issues, some problems somehow arises. And we didn't find out how up to now how to solve that. But these political interests we have to throw away, because we're living in this one world. And if we would like to stick heads together, especially in these technical areas, and if we would like to realize that, we have to leave these out. How to do that, I don't know.
Okay, let that be the task. So thank you, gentlemen. It was a very fruitful and very interesting discussion. A lot to take away. We found out that awareness, trust, the mentality for cooperation and interoperability, those are challenges, but if you want to overcome it, we just have to do it. We just have to start very basic, and also in the regions. That's maybe just some takeaway. There's been much more combining green and digital, of course, and thinking here more holistic. Thank you very much for this very interesting panel on implementing the digital transition, and yeah, goodbye from my side.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks.